pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Is it working? All right. Good evening, running candidates and Banning citizens. Thank you for being here. I just want to make sure we have all our cell phones on silent. Is that too close? Okay. All right, the first question, number one, why are you running for city council and what special qualifications would you bring as a council member?
Okay, is this my opening statement then?
Oh, sorry, my bad, I'm in training.
That's
2
okay.
minutes bio.
Okay. Short bio. My name is Jerry Westholder. I have lived in Banning for 18 years. By trade, I'm a pastor of Highland Springs Fellowship. I have my diploma in actual Bible with minor in psychology, master's in police chaplaincy. I've also graduated from the police academy. I've been a professional police chaplain for 24 years. I've been in community involvement for all my life, 30 years of ministry. I am the only one running for Banning City Council that has prior experience on Banning City Council. I'm the only candidate that's been here for the last 6 years, challenging every rate increase in the utility department, whether it be water or whether it be electricity. I have been involved with the city. I know the issues. I know what needs to be done, and I'm willing to take the mantle and fight for the good people of this city to give them honest, fair, and experienced representation on city council.
Thank you, Jerry. Bill, 2 minutes.
Am I on? I'm on.
Yes, you
Okay.
are.
My name is Bill Franklin. I'm candidate for City Council, 4th District. My education is Bachelor of Science, Police Science and Administration, Cal State University, Long Beach, Master of Public Administration, University of Southern California, PhD in Government, Claremont Graduate University, work experience, United States Marine Corps, Gunnery Sergeant for 5 years, later commissioned in the reserves. Spent 15 years, last assignment was Lieutenant Colonel, Operations Officer, 3rd CAG, and service in Korea and Thailand. City of Anaheim Police Department, last assignment, Captain, Detective Division Commander, 95th session of FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia was attended, 250-member session, elected section leader of 50. Section leaders elected me class spokesman. City of Corona, California, elected to City Council, served 8 years, 2 as mayor, pro tem, and 2 as mayor. With the Sprott family, sponsored a measure that increased minimum lot R1 sizes from 3,500 square feet for 13 square miles of a 26-mile city that was developed at one time, and a power group of 200 was running the city, so we went to the people, and they passed a measure to increase the lot sizes from 3,500 square feet to 7,200 feet.
30 more seconds, Bill.
To go?
Yep.
Have had the pleasure of marriage to Norma Baskin Franklin, Juris Doctor, for 39 years. We have 4 children and have lived in District 4 since 2003. Thank you for your interest in our city. May I have your vote on Tuesday, November the 6th. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Adolfo Mediano. I am a product of Banning, as was my mother, my father-in-law, my wife, my children, someday my grandchildren. So I've been here forever. I've been very active in the community. The reason I am running is because I still want to be a part of the community. I had to take a time out for a while because of workloads, and my work commitment. That always came first. Now that I'm retired, I no longer have to worry about that. I like to say that I'm always concerned how Banning is doing. I still remember the orchards, the empty fields. Those were good days, and I want to make sure we continue to have those good days. Obviously, we can't have the orchards. Water became an issue. Population growth is rising, and for that reason, I want to be a part of that. I want to make sure when my grandchildren grow up like I did, they have a worthwhile life like I did. I did not have to return to Banning. I left after I graduated from high school, went to San Diego, loved it there, beautiful place. But we chose to raise our family here, and we're going to raise our grandchildren here, and I want them to have a worthwhile experience just like I did. I love Banning. This is my home. It always will be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Okay. My name is Timothy Smith. I've lived in Banning for 13 years with my wife, Terry. We have 4 sons. I've been attending city council meetings for the last 10 years, off and on. I've also attended water board meetings and Beaumont city council meetings as well over the years. Is anybody from the Record Gazette here? No. Okay. So I'd like to thank the San Gorgonio Pass Chamber and City of Banning, and I guess the Morongo Band of Mission Indians for providing this forum. I also thank my fellow candidates for standing up to represent District 4. My original intention to run for District 4 was to ensure that it wasn't a one-candidate race. 5 candidates speaks volumes for our district's interest in leading Banning to a prosperous future. I attended the Atwell Project groundbreaking, formerly known as Butterfield, last Monday. It was a historic day for Banning that brings new homes to District 4 that will help our city move forward to a more prosperous future. The current city council stood up and got this project moving after years of neglect, and I thank them for that. I'm against utility and waste service rate increases. The city continues to give waste management 5% rate increases each year, while inflation is only 2%. That is bad business and must stop.
30
City
seconds.
residents have been overpaying for electricity since 2013. We have been paying more than Edison rates for 5 years. If I'm elected, I will vote to bring electricity rates in line with demand and not to run the city on the utility rates. The new homes going in will improve utility cash flow and take pressure off the current residents. Water rates are too high.
Last
Banning
words,
has
Tim.
first dibs on all water coming from the mountains. I'd like to say thank you for being here, and I appreciate your vote for Banning City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. I will go ahead and ask the questions. As a reminder, there are to be no negative comments from the audience, no clapping, no jabbing, no cheering. You can clap at the very end. We want this meeting to be as informative as possible for our citizens. Just so you know, you are being timed. I think is it a minute? A minute per question, and we have the cards over here, and I'll be reminding you like 30 seconds and so forth, what time you have left. 2 minutes total per question. All right, I'll go ahead and start. Why are you running for city council, and what special qualifications would you bring as a council member? Jerry?
Why am I running is simple. It's somebody has to speak up for the forgotten people of this city. Since 2007, we've had a 175% increase in our utility rate. I have single moms and widows that go to my church that can't afford to turn their air on in the summer. When I've been out going door to door, you see these single little widowed ladies coming to the door sweating because they can't afford to turn their air conditioning on. Somebody's got to fight for the people of the city. We have a median income of $40,000 per household. Somebody's got to stick up for the little guy. Somebody has got to rein in. We have a reputation in the city that the tail has been wagging the dog. And what we want to do is bring this back to normalcy. No longer special interest telling us how to run our city. Nobody giving increase so they can give money away. We've got 3 grand jury investigations. That's unprecedented in the state of California. What's wrong with this picture? We need to bring some integrity back to Banning. We need to bring some honesty back to Banning. And we need to give release and lower rates to the people so they can afford to live here because they're the ones paying all the taxes. That's why I'm running for council. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, 2 minutes.
The reason that I'm running is that Jesus Christ asked me to. No, Jesus Christ told me to. And I'm the son of a Methodist minister, and Jesus has been with me all my life. The last 15 months, we've gotten closer and closer. And he told me to get off my duff and do the job. And that's what I intend to do.
Thank you, Bill. Adolfo?
Well, the reason why I'm running is, like I stated in my opening statement, is I'm a product of Banning. I love Banning. I want to make sure we do well. As terms of my qualifications, I do have a history degree, law degree. Well, I actually have a high school diploma from this place, too. Work experience, I've been a probation officer for over 30 years, 2 different counties, so I'm familiar with safety issues, law, criminal histories, and the need to have a very protective community. I've been active in the community since I've been here and before, well, once I returned from attending college. Had 9 years in the local school board, 7 years in the county board where I represented this area, 1 year on the city council, and also was active 10 to 12 years in Banning youth sports programs, mainly the baseball. I am concerned with the budget, how we got behind. I'm also concerned with the raising utility rates. And I do not like that we are paying more than Edison customers are. Anyhow, I think we can do better, and I have the commitment, experience to help our city grow. We're in a crossroads. Growth is coming, it is here, and I want to be part of that. Help us make sure we do make the right decisions for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Timothy?
Like I said in my opening statement, I wanted to make sure there was more than one candidate, which has happened in other districts, unfortunately. I graduated from Cal State Fullerton with a BA in communications. One way I got to know the Pass area is I worked for the Record Gazette for 3 years. I covered Beaumont. So I've got to see the different issues, water, electric, building, et cetera. I'd like to see our projects start moving forward. I was researching the Banning website today. They have a list of 10 projects that are in our area right now. The La Quinta Hotel, apparently they gave them an extension. Atwell, better known as Pardee, just broke ground. Rancho San Gregorio, the estimate on beginning is 5 years out. There's several other, let's see, detached housing, elementary school, detached housing shopping center, more detached housing in Highland Springs Avenue, that'll be part of Pardee, retail, shopping center, and then airport industrial work, the lofts. I'd also like to see our circulation improved with the I-10 bypass completed. and Lincoln Avenue must be completed to Sun Lakes Boulevard to improve our circulation and our safety in our city. We cannot leave that field open. If we have to eminent domain, we need to get that road put in, because once Atwell starts building, traffic's going to be really, really tight. Thank you.
Thank you. On to the next question. In the past 2 years, have you attended in person at least 6 city council meetings? If yes, did you actively participate in the public comment portions? How have these experiences enhanced your knowledge of the function of city councils? If no, why have you not made the effort to gain this firsthand experience? Jerry, 2 minutes.
As I shared earlier, I've been actively involved with Banning City Council meetings for the last 5 years. I've attended 90% of the council meetings. I had served on Banning City Council, and I have participated in the public comments. When I felt something was wrong or an error, I would say so. When I felt that the city council was doing something against the best interests of the folks of this city, I spoke up. When I felt that they were lying and being dishonest, I challenged them for that. I try not to be negative, to attack the person, but I will attack the stance. And I will say that something is wrong when it's wrong, because I don't want the folks being hurt. And so, yes, I've been very active. I've been very involved for the last 5 years. And if the good folks of the city think I'm the guy, I will be in there fighting for them still the entire time I'm in office. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, 2 minutes.
My community service with Banning has included 10 years with Banning Rotary, involving youth work, Stagecoach Day Parade Committee for 2 years. In 2008, in January, I got my flu shot and my pneumonia shot and spent months gaining 940 registered voters' signature to create voting districts. I like to think that I started a fire for voting districts, and it took Mr. Burgess to sue the city to seal the deal. Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Today I spent time speaking with City Hall employees. The $3 million city budget gap has been closed. That was told to the community through the Record Gazette. Several of us have been concerned about the lack of 6 police officers on the department. I was told today that all those vacancies are being filled now. Thank you.
Thank you. Adolfo, 2 minutes.
Well, I have not attended any city council meetings in the last 2 years, as I kind of alluded to in my opening statement. My work commitments interfered and actually made me curtail a lot of my activities in the city. Just to explain, I went from one county to a different county. Besides that, I was working graveyard shift work, weekends, and plus during the week. So I had no real, how would you say, a work schedule that I could rely on, where I could really put any time and energy into it, where I could really fulfill any kind of obligations. Also, unfortunately, my wife took ill a few years back. Her condition has now stabilized, and now that I'm retired, you will see my involvement, whether I make the city council or not. So that's what I have to say about that. But I have done research on the city, what's been going on. Of course, I've been concerned and always listened to what's been going on in the community. So it's not like I have been totally ignorant of what's been transpiring in the last couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you. Timothy, 2 minutes.
My comments, the most recent, before the city council, was a few months back. A group from the Cherry Valley Beaumont Banning Tea Party asked the city council to vote against the sanctuary city and sanctuary state laws. And my reason for doing that is my wife, before I met her, was engaged to a police officer from Maywood. He went to work one day and was killed by MS-13 at the end of his shift. So my wife went home, and he was gone. That was like the next day. They got engaged, he went to work, and never came home. And so it was tragic. I took her to the policeman's memorial in Washington, D.C., in Officer John's honor. We received medals. It was emceed by Janet Reno, Attorney General. But I feel the sanctuary city laws are not good for our state and our cities. I think it's dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to switch to the other end and start with Timothy. The next question. This is regarding the cannabis measure. As you know, there are a number of measures on the ballot in November. Measure N, Measure O, and Measure P. Would you please give us your opinion on each one? Briefly describe the measures. Timothy?
Okay, Measure N is a vote yes is to tax cannabis manufacturing. So in other words, there'll be grow houses in Banning, and they'll get charged a certain rate per square foot, I think, of their floor space. Measure O is retail cannabis tax. If that is approved, they'll, I think, a 10% tax above and beyond county tax on all sales. Both those measures will benefit Banning if we do have manufacturing and or retail. It'll generate tax revenue, which the city can dearly use. I propose a yes vote on Measure N and Measure O. I voted to legalize pot in 1972. And unfortunately, the people were too stoned to register, so they never voted, because I quizzed my fellow students at college. They were going to vote for it, but they didn't register. Okay, Measure P, electric utility tax and rate increase. I'm against it. It's just a rate increase on an electric, and I ask the audience to vote no.
Thank you, Timothy. Adolfo?
Well, in regards to the two cannabis measures, I have no problem supporting those and will vote yes. I think it's probably not ideal for the city, but in terms of our budget situation, we have to look at we have to look at all alternatives to make sure we bring in some revenue. This is a growing industry. I really see no reason why we should not become part of that, especially if it'll benefit the city in terms of the revenue. I trust any entity that gets involved with the cannabis industry will do their utmost to be protective of the environment, if not only for their own purposes and well-being, but also because if they want to survive and thrive here, they have to make sure the community is happy with them as being part of the council. We will make sure that happens. In regards to the water utility measure, I would rather not support that, but unfortunately, because of our budget shortfall, $3 million, I think we almost have to. What I don't understand, I'm still trying to figure out how we got to this point. Any entity that I've been involved with, mainly the school boards, even with the sports leagues when I was board members, we always try to project what revenues we're going to come in, where expenditures would go. I've never been involved with an organization where we are kind of working behind the 8 ball. But that can change because I plan to make sure we instill some measures to improve our revenue source and project where deficiencies will come about so we don't end up in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill?
As far as the utility measure is concerned, I've learned that unless you are right in the middle of an organization, you don't know what is happening in the organization. You're on the outside looking in. And that's been true with the Marine Corps, NIPD, the city of Corona, everywhere that I've worked. I don't have any reason not to trust the city staff and their recommendations. I've paid attention to their work over the last 30 years, and I think that we have a fine city staff. We have to have utilities. They have to be paid for. The medical marijuana situation, at least I hope it's going to be medical marijuana, is about the only way that I could think of supporting marijuana after seeing the lives of many people, including my middle son, ruined by marijuana over the years. I don't like the word. I don't like anything about marijuana. But I have to pay attention to the medical community who just recently, to combat the opioid epidemic that's especially volatile in the middle of the country and the Northeast. They are now using medical marijuana to get people off opioid. So that's the only good thing that I see about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry?
When it comes to measures N and O, I have to be honest, I got mixed feelings on it, and I haven't really made a decision one way or the other. If we do vote those in to be a part of our community, they definitely should be taxed. So I'm for the tax, but are we going to allow sales in our community? Jerry Lopez, a good friend of mine who's the district attorney for the city of Riverside, for the county of Riverside, said marijuana is the #1 reason kids drop out of high school. But then I have family in the medical field that tell me of all the benefits for it, and I think that's great. So to be honest with you folks, I can't tell you that I'm going to vote one way or another on N and O. I still am complying information and looking at the facts. Now, as far as Measure P is concerned, I'm definitely against Measure P. And I'll tell you why I'm against Measure P. You're allowed a certain amount of money from the utility company to come in to take care of the administrative costs of running the utility company. But what Measure P is doing is they are literally giving the utility company an unrestricted amount of money that they can raise and take from the utility company to use however they want. They say they want to use it for police and fire. Well, I got a document right here from Budget and Finance Committee, says they were willing to loan Diamond Chevrolet $2 million. Well, if they got $2 million to give to a dealership, why are they not giving it to our police department, where we need it the most? If we've got money in reserve somewhere, let's give it there. So that tells me right there, we don't need Measure P. Measure P is just another way for the city council that has been giving away money for years, and we can go all the way back to 2010, the first grand jury investigation where the city gave several $100,000 to the Cultural Alliance and were told to give it back, and the city ignored them, and they gave them another $111,000. I'm thinking it's time for free money, stop for free money from banning. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. I'll start with Timothy again. What is your position on Measure P, allowing the continuation of the transfer from the electric fund to the general fund in the approximate amount of $1.5 million? The general fund budget for this year anticipates a shortage of $200,000. If the measure fails, what would you do to raise the $7 million in revenue, or what would you cut from the general fund budgets to balance it out?
They're going to me first?
Timothy, we're going to start with Timothy.
Okay, I like to think out of the box sometimes, and one suggestion is why don't we drop the Banning Police Department, lease the building to the Riverside County Sheriffs, and we have protection, and we're getting paid for the building. End of shortfall. We'll lose that overhead on the police pensions as well as their salaries, and we'll still have protection in the past. Riverside Sheriff covers Cabazon, Cherry Valley, Twin Pines. Banning's right in the middle of it. It makes sense and streamline all efforts to protect us if we had them right here in our Banning office. I think that would take care of the shortfall, and we could move forward and not have to raise taxes on our electricity. Thank you.
Thank you. Adolfo?
Well, unfortunately, the city's put itself in a position where they have to generate some revenue to cover the shortfall. And that is an asset that they're utilizing. I don't agree that we should always rely on that, and we're going to have to take steps to prevent that from happening in the future. But the downside, if we don't support that measure, is it's going to cause probably, looking at what Tim has just said, although I'm against that, but I mean, you have to look at it. You have to cut corners and cut personnel. You have to cut services. So I'd rather not see that happen, and instead look to the new city manager, which has been hired, have him help us figure out where we can stop the bleeding, so we do not have to rely on the utility revenues to help support the city. And of course, with the growth and the new development that's coming in, trying to bring in more businesses for more revenue, that's going to be very crucial that we really explore that and work closely with the city manager to bring that about. Otherwise, we will have to look at cutting some personnel. There's other personnel we can look at besides city force. And for sure, we have to rethink about adjusting the positions of the I forget what you would call it. They're looking at adjusting the positions of some of the jobs here, which would mean higher costs, and we definitely have to look at that, maybe put that to the wayside. But that's what I would look at and focus on, and rely heavily on the city manager to help us out. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill?
I'm not familiar with the problem. I don't have an opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry?
Yeah, to continue on Measure P, folks, you need to understand that Measure P is drafted as a convenience measure by the City Council. That money is not designated toward police and fire. If it was, they would be specific. They're trying to threaten you with police and fire because they want that extra money come out of the utility company. The fact of the matter is, our own treasurer from our own city, Dr. John McGowan, did not even sign the document in favor of Measure P. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Something isn't right. And then when I found out from the Budget and Finance Committee that on the docket was to loan Diamond Chevrolet $2 million, where do we got $2 million? You're telling me I got a $3 million shortfall, and now you're telling me you got $2 million to give to loan to a dealership. Folks, what's wrong with this picture? Somebody's playing sleight of hand on us. And if we got that kind of money, it needs to go to the police department. So I'm telling you right now, Measure P is just a red herring. It looks good on paper, but it's not what they say it is. Again, it's free money for the council to use it however they want to use it. And it's not a good deal for the citizens of Banning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are we taking a break?
We're going to go ahead and take a break at this time. And thank you. So we have 3 questions that are going to get asked. So you're going back to the regular routine, and we're on it.
Oh,
Okay, here we go. Thanks, Nicole.
we don't want to wait for Bill? He left? Okay. These are the 3 questions that were drawn from the hat from the audience. I'll start with Adolfo. I'm going to start with you.
Right.
What do you think the city can do regarding the homeless problem? What would you do?
Well, I know in LA, they're building homeless, not shelters, but little cubicle homes type. I don't know, we have the money for that. Really, we need to get resources from the county, see what they have available, try to direct the homeless to services that the county provides, see what we can provide in terms of, well, I know there are some food services available for them, but we really need to find them a place where they can shelter themselves. I run across them all the time when I'm walking my dog, and it is a little unsightly. I don't want to necessarily call them criminal, but they do need some assistance. We do need to, I've seen where our police officers are engaging them, talking to them, which is good. It's best to get to know them as much as possible, but we really need to direct them to services that are available, especially with the county. Unfortunately, we don't have too much we can offer, but we do have something we can offer them. And pretty much that's all we can really do. And just, it's easier when you know who they are. It's easier to get to know them, like our police officers appear to be doing, which helps us in the long run. So when something does develop and we need to direct them, it's easier to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry?
This isn't an easy problem. This is going to take a combination of things, both from the city, from the state, from the county, and our churches. The reality of it, the homeless problem isn't going away, but a lot of people don't understand the homeless problem. A lot of them is indigency. 80% of the indigent people are that way by choice. I used to run a homeless program in Rockford, Illinois, second largest city in the state of Illinois. We used to feed 200 to 300 homeless people breakfast every morning, 365 days a year. I understand the program, and I know how to fix it. But the reality of it is we have mental health issues that the state has given up on dealing with, number one. And number two, you've got a lot of people with their minds and their hearts in the right place thinking they're doing something nice by helping the homeless, and all they're doing is encouraging indigency. I remember my wife fed a squirrel once, and I said, don't feed that squirrel, the neighbors will come. And she kept feeding the squirrel, and the next thing you know, we got a backyard full of squirrels because she kept feeding the squirrels. And that's what happens. And I don't know about you, but my church, I get indigents back there, they're sleeping back there, they're defecating back there, they're urinating back there, and it's not pretty, and then people don't want to come to my church. I want to help the people, but at the same time, I'm not going to encourage bad behavior. So we have got to work together with every resource available to us to come up with a permanent solution. Part of that being education of the public, saying you're not doing them any good by helping them. You have to be able to say no and send them to an agency that can help them rehabilitate. Propositions 37, 47, 57, all of these, AB 109, is a result of our current governor putting everybody out on the street and not letting the criminals continue to serve their sentences. So it's a complicated issue, but it's a state problem, and we have to start there. Thank you.
Thank you. Timothy?
Jerry's right, it's a very complicated problem. I know my wife asked for escorts from the supermarket on numerous occasions because she gets accosted. And she doesn't appreciate it, I don't appreciate it. I don't think we need to do anything extra as far as the city of Banning. We do have some church organizations and whatnot that help with these guys. They have a halfway house over by the high school. But I think one problem is when the county jail releases prisoners, they need to release them in the communities that they were arrested in. They should not release them over in front of Albertsons on Highland Springs. They should take them back to wherever they came from. Right there, they drop them off on Highland Springs, and then they're out there panhandling and causing trouble. They should take them back to their communities where they committed the offense. That would help a lot. But I don't see doing anything extra for them because it just encourages them. Yeah, there's people that need help. That's what churches are for. And if they take the help, maybe they'll stand up on their own 2 feet. But a lot of them, they don't want that. They like living free and easy and nobody telling them what to do. And that's their problem, not ours. Thank you.
Thank you. That completes that question. I'll start with Jerry. City council transparency, do you believe in it, and how do you think it should be enforced?
That is a very good question. I appreciate that question. We've gotten a position where the tail's wagging the dog. Transparency should be number one. City council, we work for you. You tell us what to do. We don't work for the staff. We work for you, the citizens of this community. You give us our direction on what we're supposed to do to make it easier for you to live and enjoy your life in this city. Business, we need to cut the red tape so people can build businesses here. We need to cut the utility rates so people can afford to live here. The city council exists for the people, not in spite of them. You pay the taxes, you pay the rates on the electric, so you should have a say. And everything we do should be out in the open because you have a right to question it. Because if our motives are not pure in doing it for the citizens of this community, we have no business holding this office. I have no desire to have a title of councilman. I have no desire to prove how important I am to other people. My desire is to take care of our citizenry and make sure that they're living a comfortable life. And if council can't be transparent, why are we voting for them? Why are we letting them lead us? Because they're not leading us in the right direction. They got something, a sleight of hand going on, like some of the things I just shared with you earlier. I'm tired of backdoor deals. I'm tired of people, I'm coming here and finding out they changed the agenda. No. You need to know what's going on in your city because it's your city and we work for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Adolfo?
Well, I agree with what Jerry said. You have to have transparency. There's really, I don't understand why you would not have it. We represent the citizens of Banning. We're here to work on their behalf. They have to trust you're making sound, good decisions for the benefit of the community. You cannot develop that trust if you don't have the transparency. I have no problem in trying to communicate with others and let them know where I stand, what's going on, find the answers if I don't have them. Did that as a profession in my previous experience with and the boards I served. It lends your credibility that you're doing the right thing when you do have that transparency and develop that trust in people. I really fail to see why that is an issue. It should not be. And of course, we have to rely on the city manager to make sure the information is getting out there and put that city manager to task if it is not getting out there and the citizens are asking questions. We have to provide those answers and make sure the citizenry does get that information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have the question again, please?
City council transparency, do you believe in it, and how do you think it should be enforced?
Well, yes, I think the city council should be transparent as much as possible. They direct staff to do certain projects. They get information relayed back to the city council, and then the city council imparts that to the citizenry. I don't have a problem with banning transparency at this point. I think it's a very open city, and it always has been. I think keep working with good hires in the staff, let them do their job, inform the city council, and therefore the city council can inform the citizens. And, yeah, the citizens are welcome to go into the city hall, look at the books on the counters. You want to find out about a project, walk in there and look around. There's books in there, you can ask people in the planning department what's going on. You can request to speak to anybody in there, including the city manager, if you'd like. I'm sure they would come out and talk to you. So don't be afraid to enter our city hall and talk to our staff, and then also step up to the microphone and speak to the city council. We'll take your questions under advisement, because they don't answer questions from the days, and then they'll, if needed, put it on the agenda. And so I'm happy with city's transparency at this point. People have to make the effort to find out what's going on, and I appreciate Banning for that. Thank you.
Thank you. So the last question, I'll start with you, Timothy. How do you rate current city council? Do they do a good job? If not, where are they lagging or falling short?
Well, I don't like the current proposed deal with the GM dealer, giving them 15 years of tax breaks. I think is a little too long. A deal like that should be on with a new business for no more than 5 years. It should never be more than that. The $200 million loan so they can buy property over by the wastewater treatment plant, I don't know what to do with that, but it sounds questionable to me. They're going to take our money, which they could use for fire and police, and buy that land, so they're getting our money and buying that land for nothing. You know, and they're going to pay it back eventually, but in the meantime, we're out $2 million. So I don't like that. I'd like to see more projects get done. There's a lagging, like the La Quinta Hotel on the east side, Hathaway or Hargrave, that would be wonderful to get that done. Then Don Peterson said they also want to put a deli in there. That would be welcome. Let's see, the distribution center on the far side would be feather on our cap if we could get a big logistics center like that. And I'd like to see, like I said earlier, the I-10 bypass done. And my biggest, on my wish list is to get the Lincoln-Sun Lakes connection done. That will make everybody's life a lot easier and a lot safer. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to switch it up. Jerry?
Can you repeat the question, please?
How do you rate current city council? Do they do a good job? If not, where are they lagging or falling short?
With all due respect, and without mentioning names, I think this current city council has been less than honest, less than transparent, and I think they've allowed us to be in the position we are today. The majority of them, for the most part, have attributed to the 175% increase in our utility rates. I have a problem with that. They've given away money to charities. We're not a bank. We are not a lending institution, and neither are we a retail institution. Our sole purpose is to take care of the citizens. So first grand jury, 2010. We're supposed to be reimbursed from the Banning Cultural Alliance, $162,000. We never got it back, and what they did is they went ahead and gave them another $111,000. I got a problem with that. I got a problem with what they tried to do down here in Rancho, whatever it's, San Gorgonio, the project where they wanted to build all of the county buildings down here where San Gorgonio Inn used to be. I got a problem with that. Why do I want to be the dumping hub of Riverside County and have nothing but county offices down there? That doesn't work. And they were less than honest about that as well. We were supposed to have retail, we were supposed to have a motel, and somehow it magically got switched. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with a lot of things that they're doing. I have a problem with this loaning $2 million to Diamond Chevrolet. I have a problem with Diamond Chevrolet having a 15-year deferment on their taxes on top of a 13-year they've already inherited from the previous owner, so that makes 28 years before we get any taxes from them. I've got problems with that. Yes, I do not think the majority of the current council is less than honest, and they've been less than transparent, and I think they've been less than honorable.
Thank you, Jerry. Adolfo?
I hate to be critical, but I do think the city council has let the city down as a whole. Not to point fingers at any particular person, but because it works as a unit. They're all responsible. You're part of the unit, you're responsible, whether you speak up or not, because there are things you can do to at least get the information out, let the citizenry know so that you can utilize them to help you change whatever is not correct or needs to be changed and make it go in the right direction. I fail to understand how we got $3 million behind in the budget. Every past organization I've been involved with, you do projections yearly, and even between the budget sessions, you're always projecting out what revenues are coming in. Are they coming in on time? What's going to come up later that we do? You anticipate shortfalls. Like I know, I'll point out the CalPERS issue. That's been going on for years. You already know that's building. That's a problem you're going to be facing for years. How is that not projected into the budget? Anyway, City Council has not been doing its due diligence in protecting the citizenry in terms of the budget shortfalls, increasing utility rates. That's unheard of. I do not understand that. We used to be lower than Edison. I do not understand how we are now paying more than Edison, things like that. So, yeah, again, I hate to be critical. I like to look for solutions and try to change things, and we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think that completes it, Laura. We'd like to thank you for your time being here and the community. Oh, that was my closing statement. I'll let Laura take over. Sorry. Okay, you get how many? 2 minutes? Don, 2 minutes? 3 minutes for your closing statement. Jerry?
Oh, you're going to have me start?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Folks, the reality of it is we have some incredible problems here in Banning, but it's nothing we can't fix. With good leadership, integrity, working together, we can fix all the problems that we have. Yeah, there are some mistakes that people have made, but anything is usually self-motivated, they do make mistakes. But if we work together as a team, when we work together as a community, we can solve all these problems. We can get the utility rates lowered. We can get them to be affordable again. We got to cut some of the fat, which may be hard. We have to build up our police department because public safety is #1 in our community. Several years ago when I was on the council, I helped expose the plot that they were trying to sell us out to the sheriff's department, which sounds like a great idea, but the problem is the sheriff's department will raise your rates every year and you get 3 officers, that's it. We have a good department, it just needs to be put together. We need some good leadership in our department. We've been without good leadership in the city for a long time. We had self-interest. For over 20 years, Sun Lake has controlled our city for the most part. And the citizens need to control the city. We need our rates lowered. We need our police department built up, and they need pay because they risk their lives every day. And I've worked as a chaplain for a police department for 24 years, and I've been in the line of fire 5 times where I've had to back up officers. They've asked me, I've had several chiefs say, hey, Jerry, you want to work for us? I go, no. They go, why not? I go, I don't like being shot at. We need to have our police department built up to a point that they're taking care of the citizens. We need to work as a community to have the right kind of businesses come into our city. So we need to cut the red tape downtown. Right now, it'll cost you $5,000 for a conditional use permit. $5,000. Why? A conditional use permit shouldn't cost you more than $100. And then you look at, to build a house, it's going to cost you $40,000 in fees just to get started. We need to cut some of this red tape and make it affordable for business to come in, for people to live here, and for us to have a good community. And then we need good leadership, and I trust, and from what I've read, we got a good new city manager coming that knows how to take charge, how to lead us in the right direction, so we can literally have a prosperous future. And it's up to us to work together. And I hope that you're confident in my ability. I hope you're confident in my suggestions, that you want to vote for me come this November, so we can make Banning the way it's supposed to be. Thank you very much.
Adolfo?
Well, I'm optimistic about Banning's future. I think we need the stability. One good thing the council, I believe, did do was hire the city manager that they chose. He appears to be a person with great amount of experience. It appears he's going to be with us for a few years. That'll help with the stability in the government. And with that, and with your help, we will turn, I don't want to say this would turn the city around. It makes it sound like we're in the pits. We're not in the pits. There are things that need to be done, need to be changed, need to be looked at so that we can progress further. We have a lot of good things going on. We need to continue working on that. Our job, and being on the council, is to get the city to work with us, work with the city manager and the staff to make sure we continue in the right direction. We've done a lot of good, and we can continue to do good. And I want to be part of that. We're in a crossroads. Things are happening. I want to be part of that and include everyone with transparency so that we're all working together to have a beautiful city, which this is. And I want to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Timothy?
I would like to go back to the last question briefly. I think one of the problems with our budget and other city problems stems from revolving door of staff members. I don't know, in the last 10 years, there's probably been 10 city managers, which is ridiculous. We need to hire a competent professional, let him do his job. He shouldn't be intimidated, he shouldn't be harassed, he should be supported so he can do his job properly and help get the city on track with the finances. Revolving door with staff members is not good. It doesn't benefit us. And then we ended up paying them big money when they leave, and that hurts us even more. So let's get somebody, stick with them and support them and let them do their job. Okay, when I was I served on the Banning Parks and Rec Committee, and back when the recession hit, 2010, they were going to close the pool. And one thing that we did was we got together and we worked on the budget, adjusted the hours so we could keep the pool open for our citizens and our kids, and it worked. So that's one success I've had with the city. Let's see. I'd like to, see the city move forward. Unfortunately, I've heard the joke, gentleman's been here since 1960. Banning's been in a recession since 1960. I'd like to see that recession lift, that cloud lift, Banning prosper. I've lived in Pasadena, I've lived in Santa Ana, I've lived in Palm Desert, and people that are from Banning do not have that vision. We need people with experience that have been out in America and see how it can be. And Banning needs a bigger vision than it's had in recent memory. We can do it, we can make it better, we can shore up our budget, we can take care of our city manager and prosper as a city and improve as a community. I wanted really badly to have a sports park with the Atwell project on Wilson and Highland Springs. Nobody heard me. I've been talking about that for at least 5 years. Nobody's ever heard me. I talked to them at the groundbreaking. They said, sorry, all we have is community parks. But if we had a sports park there, our kids would not have to all go to Beaumont to play sports. They could play sports in Banning. But no, we got Atwell and we get no sports park. We get community parks, but it's not the same if we could keep our kids right here at home. So, thank you.
Thank you. Tomorrow night is District 5.
Tomorrow is District 5, and Nicole, thank you very much. She'll be here tomorrow. Thank you, the candidates. Thank you very much. Good luck to you all, and thank you all for coming. And we will see some of you tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thank you.